Hey, Days of Our Lives fans. Oh my gosh, we have got so much to unpack today because things in Salem are absolutely spiraling and I am here for every single second of it. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and today we are diving deep into the fallout from what DiMera and Gabi Hernandez just witnessed at the Salem Inn. And trust me, this little moment between Xander Kiriakis and Kristen DiMera is about to set off a chain reaction that nobody in Salem is going to be ready for. Before we get into all of it, please click that subscribe button right now because you do not want to miss a single episode. Okay, now let's get into it because there's a lot to break down here. So let's just set the scene and remind everybody what's been going on because there are so many moving pieces here that you really need the full picture to understand why this little hotel key moment is such a massive deal. So first of all, we all know that Kristen DiMera has been absolutely obsessed with getting rid of her brother EJ. Like, she wants him gone, not just out of the family business, not just embarrassed, but genuinely, permanently gone. And she decided that the best person to do her dirty work for her was none other than Xander Kiriakis. Now, if you recall, Kristen first approached Xander at the Salem a few weeks back and laid out her whole little scheme. She basically slid him a very loaded invitation to come up to her room, and she dangled the idea of hiring him to take EJ out. Actual assassination. We're talking straight-up murder for hire, Salem style. But here's where it gets interesting because Xander, and look, nobody is going to accuse Xander of being a saint, but even he looked at Kristen's little proposal and basically said, "Yeah, I'm not doing anything murdery for you, thanks." He's made it pretty clear that whatever he's willing to do in this town, putting a hit on DiMera is not on his to-do list. So Kristen didn't get what she wanted when it comes to her whole eliminate EJ plan. But somehow, someway, those two are still hanging out. And it is not for business reasons, shall we say. Because what started as a super sketchy business proposition very quickly turned into something a lot steamier. These two have been sneaking around and having a full-on fling, and it has been a whole lot of fun to watch unfold on screen because the chemistry there is undeniable, even if everything about the situation is completely chaotic. And if you need a little reminder of just how committed these two are to their little rendezvous, let's not forget that Xander literally injured his elbow during their very first, shall we say, energetic encounter. Yes, they apparently got a little too enthusiastic during their first roll in the hay, and Xander ended up hurting himself. Which is honestly very on-brand for both of them, because nothing in Salem can ever just be simple. So now he's walking around in a shoulder sling, and apparently that is not slowing Kristen down one bit, because she is still slipping him room keys like they're passing notes in high school. And that is exactly what Gabi and EJ caught happening. Both of them watched as Kristen casually slid her room key right into Xander's shoulder sling like it was the most normal thing in the world. And you could just see the wheels turning in both Gabi and EJ's heads the second it happened. Because these are two of the most calculating, scheming people in all of Salem, and suddenly they both have a piece of very juicy, very exploitable information sitting right in their laps. Now, the timing here is especially loaded because this happened right after EJ and Gabi had been going at it over Kristen DiMera's inheritance. Let's talk about that situation for a second because it is messy and it is important. So EJ has been doing everything in his power to make sure Gabi does not get her hands on Stefan's share of the DiMera estate, the inheritance from Stefano DiMera that should rightfully go to Stefan's widow, which is Gabi. EJ has been pulling every lever he can, including paying to have a handwriting analysis done on the divorce papers between Gabi and Stefan. And EJ was being very smug about the whole thing, pointing out that his analyst confirmed that Stefan's handwriting on those documents was completely legitimate. He was just dripping with that particular brand of EJ snobbery that he does so well. But Gabi is not sitting back and taking it. Not even a little bit. Because Gabi has her brother Hernandez's FBI contacts in her corner, and they took a look at samples of Vivian Alamain's handwriting, samples that Philip managed to get his hands on, and they came to a very different conclusion than EJ's analyst did. So now Gabi has a competing analysis that says those divorce papers are not on the up and up. And if that wasn't enough, she also has a written affidavit from Ivan Gira stating that he personally witnessed Vivian forging Gabi and Stefan's divorce documents. So Gabi is armed, she is loaded, and she is ready to fight for what she believes is hers. And she has Theo Carver in her corner as the executor of Stefano's will, which is a big deal. Now yes, Theo is a little bit annoyed at Gabi right now because she suspected him of being the one who tipped off Philip that she planted the bug, and nobody likes being accused of something they didn't do. But even with that tension between them, Gabi is banking on Theo doing the right thing in his role as executor, because that's just who Theo is at his core. And honestly, Gabi knows she's in a strong position because why would EJ be offering to settle with her if he didn't think she actually had a real shot at winning? EJ DiMera does not offer settlements out of the goodness of his heart. He does it when he sees a threat to his own interests. So the fact that he went there tells you everything you need to know about how solid Gabi's case really is. And Gabi being Gabi, she already looked ahead and tried to use her potential windfall to fix another problem in her life. She offered Philip a lump sum from the DiMera money to help pay off the Titan loan that has been hanging over both of them like a dark cloud. It was actually a generous move on her part. But Philip was so angry that he flat out refused. He told her no, and he wasn't exactly nice about it. And okay, I get that pride is a powerful thing, but Gabi literally offered him a solution on a silver platter, and he turned it down because of ego. Which, fine, Philip, fine. You do you. Now Xander found out about Philip turning down that offer, and he is furious about it. Because Xander can see the bigger picture here. That was money that could have solved their Titan problems, and Philip just let it walk out the door. Kate Roberts is also not thrilled about the mess that this situation has become. But regardless of all that family drama, everything is about to shift because of what Gabi and EJ saw at the Salem Inn. So let's get into the really fun part, which is, what are these two going to do with this information? Because you know neither EJ nor Gabi is going to just quietly file this away and forget about it. That is not how Salem operates. And these two in particular are absolutely the type to weaponize a secret the second they get their hands on one. Let's start with EJ, because he is playing an extremely complicated game right now. EJ would absolutely love to have something real he can hold over Kristen's head. Kristen has been a constant thorn in his side. She is gunning for him. She is dangerous, and she has always been very difficult to control or outmaneuver because she plays just as dirty as he does. So if EJ could use this information to chip away at Kristen's standing within the DiMera family, you know he would do it without blinking. The most obvious move for EJ would be to get actual proof of this fling. Like, have one of his minions follow them, document their comings and goings from the Salem Inn, maybe grab some photographs of the two of them entering or leaving Kristen's room together. He's not going to be subtle about it. EJ never is when he feels like he's got an advantage. Now, would he go as far as actually recording something that happens inside the room? Hopefully not, because that would be a whole different kind of awful, even by DiMera standards. But getting photographic evidence of their sneaking around? That feels very much like something EJ would greenlight. He could also play it more like a chess move and just drop hints to Xander that he knows what's going on. Let Xander sweat a little. Because EJ may have a deeper suspicion at play here. He might think that Kristen is using this fling to pump Xander for information about the Kyriaki side of things, or that she might be feeding DiMera secrets to the Kyriaki's camp through Xander. Corporate espionage with a side of romance, which is extremely on-brand for Kristen DiMera. And if EJ threatens to expose both of them unless they come clean about what they've been up to, he suddenly has enormous leverage over not just Kristen but Xander too. And then there's the Sarah angle. Because EJ could very easily let it slip to Sarah Horton that Xander has been cozying up to Kristen DiMera of all people. And we all know how Sarah feels about Kristen. After everything Kristen put her through, finding out that Xander has been involved with her would be an absolute gut punch to Sarah. It might not just make her upset, it might genuinely make her rethink where she stands with Xander entirely. And EJ knows that. He's calculating enough to see exactly which pressure points would hurt the most. He could also play an even longer game and use this information not against Kristen and Xander directly, but to stir up trouble within the DiMera family itself. Plan it with the right sibling, let the infighting start, and then while everyone else is distracted tearing each other apart, EJ quietly deals with Lexi's new medical crisis and consolidates his own position. That is a very EJ move. Use chaos as cover. Because EJ has a lot on his plate right now, and he cannot afford to be pulled into a prolonged war with Kristen when other things need his attention. If he can get his siblings busy going after each other, that buys him time. But here is the thing, and this is critical, EJ has no idea that the whole reason Kristen and Xander even started talking in the first place is because Kristen wanted Xander to kill him.
EJ.
That is information EJ absolutely does not have yet. And we do know that at some point very soon, EJ is going to find out that Kristen tried to have Johnny killed, his own son, and he is going to absolutely lose it. He is going to rage at her in a way that even DiMera standards will find extreme. And it's very possible that the trail of information leading to that revelation starts with exactly this moment, catching Kristen slipping Xander that room key. Because here is a scenario worth thinking about. EJ and Xander are reportedly going to be sparring this week. They are getting into it with each other. And if things get heated enough between them, is it possible that Xander lets something slip? Or that EJ presses hard enough that the truth about why Kristen originally approached Xander starts to surface? Because if EJ finds out that his sister literally hired someone to assassinate him, the fallout from that is going to be catastrophic for Kristen. The room key moment might be the first domino in a very, very long chain that ends with Kristen completely exposed. Now, let's talk about Gabi, because she has her own reasons to be very interested in this piece of gossip and her own very Gabi way of handling it. Gabi is in a position where she wants two things more than almost anything else. She wants what she believes is her rightful inheritance from Stefan's estate, and she wants Philip back.
Those are her two big goals right now.
And a smart schemer like Gabi is always going to ask herself, how can this new information serve at least one of those goals? The most direct play would be going straight to Xander and letting him know that she saw what she saw. She doesn't have to spell it all out. She just has to make it clear that she has enough information to make things very uncomfortable for him and Kristen if she wanted to. And in exchange for her staying quiet, maybe Xander could be persuaded to let Gabi keep J&G Chic operating under the Titan umbrella, because that would keep her close to Philip, which is exactly where she wants to be. It's leverage traded for proximity to the person she's trying to win back. Very Gabi logic, and honestly, it tracks. She could also try to use the Xander-Kristen situation to actually get closer to Xander himself. Not romantically, but strategically. If she has something on him, he becomes an ally by necessity. And Gabi might think that having Xander in her corner, even reluctantly, could be useful when it comes to influencing Philip. Like, maybe she dangles the idea of Xander putting in a good word for her, encouraging Philip to give their relationship another chance. It's a roundabout path to what she wants, but Gabi has always been willing to take the long route when the direct road is blocked. And then there's the nuclear option, which is just blowing this whole thing up publicly. Gabi could anonymously leak the affair, either to social media or, even better, to Leo Stark, who would absolutely splash it across every page of the Salem Spectator without a second thought. Leo would not need much convincing to run a story about Kristen DiMera conducting a steamy fling with Xander Kyriakis at the Salem Inn. That is exactly the kind of delicious scandal he lives for. And think about what that kind of story would do. It would shred whatever remaining credibility Kristen has within the DiMera family. It would paint her as a scheming seductress who is potentially leaking family secrets through her lover. It would put Xander in an extremely awkward position professionally and personally. And if Xander looks bad enough in the fallout, maybe Gabi thinks that clears the way for Philip to have more unilateral control at Titan. Which, whether or not Philip would actually appreciate that, is something Gabi might convince herself is a win. The irony of Gabi being the one to blow the whistle on corporate espionage is absolutely not lost on me, given that Gabi literally planted a bug at Titan herself not that long ago. But Gabi has never been above a little hypocrisy when it serves her purposes, and at least she could damage Kristen and Xander's reputations without anyone looking too closely at her own. There is one more wild card scenario worth throwing out there, and it is very soap opera, very Salem, and very Gabi. What if she decided to use this whole situation to make Philip jealous? What if Gabi started acting flirty with Xander? Not because she has any real interest in him, but because she knows Philip has eyes and ears everywhere, and the sight of his ex getting cozy with Xander Kyriakis might be exactly the thing that snaps Philip out of his stubborn position. Now, would Xander go along with something like that? That is the big question. Because Xander and Philip actually have a decent relationship, a genuine one, and Xander might not be willing to play fake love interest in order to make Philip jealous over a woman. That feels like a situation where the bro code might actually kick in, which would be kind of refreshing for Salem, honestly. So that particular scheme might hit a wall pretty quickly if Xander just refuses to play along. But the bottom line here is that both DiMera and Gabi Hernandez are sitting on a piece of information that is genuinely explosive, and neither of them is the kind of person who just lets something like that go to waste. will use it to protect himself and undermine Kristen. Gabi will use it to advance her own goals, whether that's the inheritance, keeping Philip close, or just keeping herself in a position of power within this whole complicated web. The DiMeras play dirty. They always have, and they always will. They will double-cross their own family without a second thought if it means gaining an advantage. And with on the path to finding out that Kristen literally tried to have his son killed, that is a bomb that is going to go off very, very soon. When it does, the fact that and Gabi caught Kristen passing Xander that room key is going to look like the moment that started a very long fuse burning. So stay tuned, Salem fans, because this is only going to get messier and more dramatic from here. We would not have it any other way. Thank you so much for being a loyal listener. Make sure you follow us wherever you get your podcasts because, trust me, you absolutely do not want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is available on all major podcast platforms including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and